Yeah, bro. What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great, finally freaking Friday. The weekend is upon us. We have, again, this is week number 4. Can you believe it is already week number 4 of the NFL season? It seems like we wait forever for it to get here, and then it literally starts flying by. The amazing thing about the NFL season is you just don't know what's going to happen from week to week. We saw Josh Allen throw 3 interceptions and have a fumble and lose to the New York stinking Jets without Aaron Rodgers. Well, he was there for 4 plays. And then turn it around the next 2 weeks and all of a sudden being great, and it is forgotten. Last night, the Detroit Lions beat down the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. You know, going into that game, shout out to my man Space Cowboy. Space Cowboy was picking the, Jordan Love and crew. It's just hard to believe in the Detroit Lions, but understand this. Remember the opening weekend, the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Bet you forgot about that because the NFL season moves so quickly, it changes from week to week that we forget about some of the things that happen. But we have to all of a sudden believe that I cannot believe that I'm going to say this, that the Detroit Lions, the Lions are for real. They lead the NFC North. They've got, like I said, they've beat Kansas City, the Super Bowl champions. And they will be a team to reckon with. We do play them late in the season, where now you start looking at our schedule and saying, we've got New England, we got the 49ers, we end up having the Chargers, we got the Eagles not far after that, that even now at the back end of our schedule where we've got Buffalo and we've got the Lions, it will get to be a little bit difficult in here. And the team is going to have to show up. And I say all this to say because everybody is already, going crazy about the game against the Cardinals. I still will say, and you can call me delusional or crazy or whatever, I will still say that was just basically one of those games. You had the 16 penalties called. You had 3 offensive linemen coming that were not playing in that game that you didn't find out until late in the week. You ended up having the defense literally sleepwalking after they lost Diggs. Those things happen. Now, the good news, of course, is Zach Martin was practicing yesterday, although it limited. Also with Tyler Biadasz practicing, but limited. But looking like they probably will be on the field this Sunday, which will definitely help against New England. And hopefully the Dallas Cowboys wake up, they get the victory, and we'll see where we are as far as practice goes. The bigger concern is Tyron Smith, of course, because Tyron Smith originally, it was the ankle injury the first 2 weeks, but he played. Then all of a sudden it was the knee injury. He did not dress for practice yesterday, and this may be cause for concern. My personal opinion is, even though Zach Martin and Tyler Smith were rated as 2 of the best guard tandems in football, that you may have to look at moving Tyler Smith back to tackle. So that way you end up having consistency at the tackle position. Igoda, who ended up having the hyperextended elbow from the week before, you'd look at that and say, I'm not sure I'm ready for him to play extended time at left tackle. It wasn't Chaz Green-esque, but it was not great. So we'll see where we are come this weekend. We will be, of course, having the big sub. And I figured out what we're going to do for the big sub. We're not going to do the lobster roll. The lobster roll sub we did a couple of years ago was not great. But I think what might be is the codfish sandwich. We're going to deep fry some cod with a little coleslaw on top of it and tartar sauce. Ooh, I think that's going to be good. That's going to be good. And that should give us some extra power. Maybe even make some clam chowder to go with it. It's like I ain't had clam chowder in a while, have I?
5 whole minutes.
I had made clam chowder last week and the week before. But be that as it may, we have to get ready to take on Zeke Elliott. And fortunately, it sounds like Dak Prescott is pissed off. Dak basically said after the loss, let me go back up and get the quote exactly right. Yeah, I was pissed off. I'm always pissed off after a loss. I don't know if we can rate my different levels of pissed offness, but yeah, it really, really sucks. It does. There you go. So hopefully, Dak Prescott, who has been trashed by the media, even though we had the 16 penalties and stuff, even though the defense gave up over 200 yards, even though we had, 3 offensive linemen go out, even though the game was already over before he threw his first interception of the season, and there are guys out there like Jimmy Garoppolo with 6. It was Dak Prescott's fault. It was in the media, it was just Dak Prescott's. And, of course, it's all of the talking people out there and all the fans out there. If we had just had a different quarterback, we would have won that game. You're fooling yourself. All right, so let's listen in this morning and see what the player haters from ESPN have to say about the matchup.
Harry, who has more rushing yards? Zeke Elliott or Tony Pollard?
Surprisingly, I'm going to go with Ezekiel Elliott. When you look at this defense of the New England Patriots, if they can force Dak Prescott to be one-dimensional in that offense, I think it's going to be able to create problems. We know what they can do on the back end of that defense, but that defensive line, they're going to be hungry. Ezekiel Elliott, he's going to be ready to eat, baby, against his old team.
Yeah, this is his Super Bowl, and I think they're going to run him heavy this week and give him a chance to try and make a point. But the point everyone has been making all week was about the Cowboys' struggles in the red zone. So I gave Dan Orlovsky one job. I said, Dan, solve this problem for us as only you can.
And I've got it. Simply put, for the Cowboys' red zone to get better, Dak and CeeDee Lamb need to become Tony Romo and Des Bryant. Okay, so everyone, this is CeeDee Lamb. This is one of the best young receivers in the NFL, the ball skills and the ability to jump with the football. This is going to be against the New York Jets. Now we get the motion down in the red zone. There's a couple indicators for Dak Prescott. Number one being that the safety is matched up on the tight end. Quarterbacks, when we get down in the red zone and we see that safety in that position like that on the tight end, we fully anticipate man coverage. Man coverage, it's about my guy versus your guy. Now at the bottom of the screen, the route concept is going to be a one-step slant in a corner. This is a great situation for the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because it is 1 and 2 over 1 and 2. We got 2 on 2 in a corner route. It's ideal for our offense. CeeDee Lamb, 100 out of 100 times should get this football. Wide open touchdown. Throw it to the back corner if you're Dak Prescott. Touchdown Dallas Cowboys. The red zone woes are over. But for some reason, he goes up top to Jake Ferguson, and there's a miss. Now we go last week to the Arizona Cardinals. You're going to get all-out pressure. The zero blitz. We got 6 defenders pressuring. I got 5 offensive linemen. As a quarterback, I know I'm hot. Harry, down in the red zone. When we see this cover 0, which is, again, man-to-man across the board and pressure, as a wide receiver, where do you want the ball?
Throw that ball to that back pylon for me.
Okay, throw the ball to the back pylon to the best receiver on our football team. CeeDee Lamb has a corner route versus cover 0. I watched Brock Purdy do this on national TV. Watch CeeDee Lamb. Here comes the all-out pressure. For some reason, CeeDee Lamb, once again, is absolutely wide open to the corner route, but we are going to throw it to Brandon Cooks versus an inside leverage safety, and the ball is going to be incomplete. That ball, 100 out of 100 times, should go to CeeDee Lamb. So everyone's going, well, what's wrong with the Cowboys' red zone? Simply put, Jake Ferguson has 8 targets in the red zone. CeeDee Lamb has 2. They don't need to go outside of their building to fix this issue. What they need to do is throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, and when they do, he's got to catch it.
So let's talk about that. Let's work our way back over to our usual spot. And Harry, let me ask you, if Dan knows that, and when he points it out, it becomes so obvious to us, clearly Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer know that. So how do we explain the fact that they are not utilizing their best weapon on the most important part of the field?
I'll be honest with you, it's inexcusable. And it should not be the case. It's inexcusable because what Dan just showed us, right, when you have cover 0 right here, the leverage from the guy that's guarding him tells you pre-snap that you should throw the ball to the corner.
We pray, please bring cover 0.
Yes.
We're going to have a walk-in touchdown.
And when I played, that was our answer. In the slot, cover 0, corner out. Based on leverage. Leverage alone. Because their job in cover zero, the defender, is to not give up the inside. So he's scared to get deep inside. So that corner route's going to be there.
Let me ask you one more question, because the fan watching this is learning as they talk to you. Is that the fact that it doesn't get thrown there? Is that on the quarterback? Is that on the coach? Is that on the scheme?
That's on the quarterback.
It's on Dak.
That's on the quarterback. He has seen cover zero. I said it during the breakdown. Brock Purdy against the Giants.
Yeah.
Remember the touch? That's cover zero. It's on the quarterback. That is the ideal answer in those situations, is to have that cover zero and all of a sudden inside leverage man. Now, I've kind of made this point because everyone's going, whoa, they've got red zone issues. And I said, I disagree with that. I think that's getting blown out of proportion.
Okay.
Week 1, there were 2 dropped touchdowns versus the Giants by the tight ends. So that's a fair conversation. Week 2, it's the Jets, really good red zone defense. Week 3 versus the Cardinals. My issue is this right now with the Cowboys in the red zone. When I watch Jordan Love down in the red zone, Romeo Dobbs is getting that back shoulder fade. When I see Patrick Mahomes, who's getting the ball in the red zone? Travis Kelce, or he's going to run. The fact that CeeDee Lamb has 2 targets. Brandon Cooks has more targets in the red zone. Brandon Cooks is not a red zone threat. Jake, 5'8". So this isn't, Greeny, I don't want to like oversimplify this. This ain't that hard.
Right.
I see these social media clips of, oh my gosh, CeeDee Lamb, look at him jump over the defender. And that's what they did with Dez.
Right.
So it's not that hard.
What do you make of this, Kmart?
Okay, there you have it.
So I feel like after
here we
week
go.
1, people were like, oh,
Yeah.
Cowboys could win it all. After week 2, it's like, you know what? People were like, good on Dak. Taking what the defense gives them. Not trying to do too much. This Cowboys team might actually have it together. Now all of a sudden it's like, the Cowboys do it. Like, I get it. I just feel like that was a bad game.
I agree with that.
Like,
I just think it was bad. I agree with her. For once, I agree with her.
Like, from what I've seen this season, no. Obviously, you've got to score more in the red zone. Duh.
But hold on. Let me say this, because within every football game, and I want fans to understand this, out of all the plays that you have in a football game, there's 4 to 6 that determines the outcome.
Right.
Not hitting that corner out versus cover zero could have been one of those plays.
1,000,000%.
And that's the point. And the thing about this week, Kmart, and we all understand, it's 3 games into the season. Every team is going to have their bad day. Every quarterback is going to have his bad day. But this was the first time, to the point you were making, where they needed Dak to put the team on the shoulders. This was the first time the defense didn't completely dominate a game. It was the first time that they said, hey, quarterback, go win us a game, and it didn't happen. So I think it is reasonable to at least be asking these questions.
And that's been the storyline for Dak's career, though.
Yes.
That's not surprising. Now, last week, 3 offensive linemen were out.
Right.
2 of those guys are Hall of Famers.
Right.
That is always, Dak's kind of success has always been attached in many ways to Tyron Smith, his left tackle, like a lot of quarterbacks are. I'm not overly concerned about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not. I still think they are one of the best teams in football. Last week, before the injury, I thought they were the best team in football. We got to see what this defense is without Trevon Diggs. And we got to see if they'll get the ball to CeeDee Lamb a little bit more in the red zone when it matters the most. I think the screen game has been utilized a little bit too much. This is not a deep breakdown. Jake Ferguson has 8 throws in the red zone. CeeDee has 2. That's inexcusable, to your point.
There's no...
Well, here will be my point, is what they're trying to do is they're trying to develop their tight ends. Honestly, when you start looking at tight ends and you look at some of the teams that are the best teams, when you look at a George Kittle, when you look at a Travis Kelce, when you look at a Dallas Goedert, they end up using those guys in the red zone. They're a big target that are down there and things. And this is where they're undervaluing. Now, what they're trying to do, because we have such young guys, that Jake Ferguson, they want him to be that guy. You want to convert him to be that red zone threat, because ultimately, without a great tight end, teams aren't making it that far. That's my personal take. Now, you can take that any way you want to, because I'm a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll, although I'm not broadcasting from my mama's basement. It's me, my wife's, and the bank's basement. But be that as it may, that to me, they're trying to develop their tight ends. Well, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully they get back on track. I need to talk into the microphone here, not the back of the microphone. Hopefully they get back on track. And this week we get a W against New England, getting ready for the San Francisco 49ers. And as always, I appreciate you. Peace.